Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's Danny Elliott. Thank you for joining me today. Back in real estate mode. A first-time buyer wanted to know, should I buy a house that's occupied by a tenant? My buyer agent said we can close in 30 days and the tenant will move out in 60 days. This is a very interesting question. Because as a first-time home buyer, are you experienced with evictions? Because if you're buying a house occupied by a tenant who's not leaving until after you buy the house, you get to do an eviction. At the very least, you have to refund that tenant's security deposit. You may have to collect the last month's rent from that tenant. And if that tenant doesn't want to leave, you have to file an action in court to evict that tenant. Depending on what state you live in, you could be looking at paying up to tens of thousands of dollars to get rid of that tenant. And I've heard real estate investors, I've heard them say that there's nothing to worry about. You should buy these houses tenant occupied. They'll show you a rent roll, they'll show you a lease agreement. They'll say, yeah, it's no problem. We do this all the time. If you got to kick somebody out, I used to be a hotel manager. Sometimes I had to kick the guests out. It's never fun kicking people out. It's not fun. You really want people to just stay and pay. Like if you have income property, you don't want to deal with this. But if you're buying a house for yourself and your family and your children, this is a very bad idea. Because think about it. Before you close on a house, you want to do a final walkthrough of that house. You want to make sure everything in that house is working properly. The four walls are intact. The cabinets are not falling off. You want to make sure somebody didn't punch a hole in the door. You just want to make sure the asset you're buying is the same one you looked at on the MLS, at the very least. I know a lot of you guys bought a house sight unseen during the crisis. You sent your buyer agent to go buy you this house. You never even looked at the house in person. Like you went based on these photographs posted on the MLS, right? And I got a question too. Why is this buyer agent advising to do this? This is just very bad advice from somebody who's supposed to be your fiduciary. I understand why an investor might do it. It's a risk. Like if you're outside Florida, they could potentially be squatters and they could put their foot down and they could stay in that house for 6 months, 12 months. They could stay in that house forever and refuse to leave. You have to file an action in court to remove those tenants through an eviction procedure. So you could buy a house and never even move into it. But you own the house. You have to pay the mortgage. You have to pay the property taxes, the insurance. You're responsible for that asset, even though you haven't moved in. Well, first-time home buyers are risk takers a lot of times, and they have these horrible real estate agents who've never bought or sold a house before. If you're just a first-time home buyer with a real estate agent who's really thirsty and needs to sell you a house, you should be careful. You want to make sure that house is delivered move-in ready. That's what's important. Make sure the house is move-in ready. Don't buy a house that's tenant occupied. And make sure you get a final walkthrough and a thorough home inspection and a clear title, and make sure everything is checked on the day of the closing. And I would inspect it personally if I were you. I wouldn't just send your buyer agent. I would go upstairs, make sure there's no stuff up there. I would check in the basement, make sure there's no dead bodies down there. There's locks on the garage door. I would say, hey, I need you to open those doors. I got to see inside that garage. I know you said that it needs work. I know you said we got to fix the garage. It's a detached garage. But you got to open those doors. And if they're like, oh, we just don't know what happened to the key. It's okay though. You know, you can buy bolt cutters at Home Depot for $10 and it's no problem. No. Open those doors right now or else we're not closing today. You don't have an obligation to proceed until your needs are satisfied. Don't buy a house that's occupied by people you don't know and do a final walkthrough and buy a house like an adult. Don't listen to these real estate agents. And I appreciate you watching today, guys. I'm in a good mood. You know, people think I'm in a bad mood on this channel. People think because I'm a direct person that I'm angry. I'm not angry. I love you guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Danny Elliott.